Hello, I'm Helen, a 34-year-old woman. I grew up in a comfortable life, thanks to my father's success as a businessman. Even though I enjoyed a lot of luxuries, I wasn't snobby. I knew how to stay humble and never thought I was better than others. But whenever people heard my name, they often made quick judgments. They'd turn away, thinking I was just another spoiled rich kid without trying to know me. It was upsetting to feel misunderstood. Because of this, I struggled to find real friends and often felt alone. People seemed jealous, and I longed for true connections. Then I met Matthew, who changed my life. We fell in love quickly and got married after just 5 months. It may sound reckless, but it was like a love story from a movie. For the first time, I felt real love and held on to it with everything I had. Matthew became my best friend, my support, and my stability in this chaotic world. But life isn't always easy. With my happiness came new challenges. Matthew's parents, Jerry and Elizabeth, weren't very happy about our relationship. They had doubts about me because of my background. I understood their concerns. They wanted to protect their son from any harm or the possible problems of a wealthy life. But it hurt to see them judge me without really knowing me. I wanted their acceptance and tried to show them that I was more than just a spoiled girl. 3 months after Matthew and I got married, my life took an unexpected turn. One sunny afternoon, Matthew's mother, Elizabeth, called me. Her cheerful tone was unusual, and I had a feeling something was coming. After some small talk, Elizabeth surprised me. She and her husband, Jerry, had saved up for a fancy trip and wanted me to come along. Wanting to impress Elizabeth, I offered to pay for everything. At first, she hesitated, saying it was too much, but I insisted. I told her I wanted them to enjoy the trip without worrying about money. She appreciated my offer and excitedly told me about the plans, saying they would handle all the details. Matthew and I were thrilled and talked about all the fun we'd have, like excited kids. I even bought us first-class tickets for extra comfort. Finally, the big day arrived, and we were in beautiful Spain. The colors, markets, and culture were amazing. It was the first time traveling abroad for Matthew, Jerry, and Elizabeth, and they were all amazed. Even though I'd been to Spain before, I was thrilled to see it again, and I happily showed them around. We explored Montserrat, and I couldn't stop talking about the wonderful food. At first, everything went well. Matthew, Jerry, and Elizabeth seemed happy, and we had a great time. But things changed when we got to the luxurious hotel Elizabeth had booked. As I unpacked, Jerry suddenly told me I wouldn't be staying with them at this hotel. Confused, I asked what he meant, thinking he was joking. Matthew held my arm, and Elizabeth, with a smirk, explained the plan. They had booked the fancy hotel only for themselves and had reserved a motel for me. Shocked, I looked at Matthew, but he said nothing. Frustrated, I asked them why they were doing this. Elizabeth and Jerry quickly told me they'd never liked me, thinking I was spoiled. This, they said, was their way of teaching me a lesson in humility. They thought I'd been too pampered and needed to be brought down a notch. I was baffled, explaining that I had only wanted to treat them to a nice trip, not to show off my wealth. Elizabeth said, "Oh, Helen, it's obvious that you're too focused on money." Then Jerry added, "Do you think you're better than us because of your rich father? What if he lost everything? You'd have nothing." I couldn't hold back my frustration. Seriously? I've always been grateful and never thought I was better than anyone. All I wanted was to treat my family to a nice vacation. Is that really so wrong, Jerry? Elizabeth looked pleased, clearly enjoying the moment. Her dislike for me was obvious, and it seemed they'd gone out of their way to make me feel small. Despite the hurt, I turned to Matthew. For a second, I saw guilt in his eyes, but I just shrugged and said, "You're all being ridiculous. I guess I was just as foolish for trusting any of you." Frustrated and angry, I grabbed my things and stormed out of the hotel room. How could they treat me so disrespectfully? As I reached the lobby, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Elizabeth with the address of the shabby hotel they'd booked for me. I couldn't believe her nerve. Right then, I blocked all of them. I didn't want their negativity in my life anymore. Standing alone in the hotel lobby, feeling defeated, I went to the front desk to ask for a room, but they were fully booked. I sat down, overwhelmed and in tears, not knowing what else to do. I called my dad and poured out everything to him, from the awful booking mix-up to being abandoned in the lobby. He listened patiently, his voice calm and caring. "I'm so sorry you had to go through this. I've always urged you to be careful, especially with marriage. Given our situation, some people do take advantage." "I know, Dad. I thought Matthew was different. I really believed he loved me. Now I feel foolish. People can disappoint us, Helen, but this doesn't define you." "Yeah, you're right. It just hurts so much." "I understand, sweetheart. But remember, you're strong, and this won't keep you down for long. You'll get through it." "Thanks, Dad. That really helps." Then he asked, "Which hotel are you at right now?" "It's the Gold Star Hotel, but they're fully booked. You could probably clear the place out if you wanted." "I could," he replied, "but why should I make others leave? They deserve to enjoy their stay, even if some thoughtless people kicked you out, especially since you paid for the room." "So, Gold Star, you said? Hang on, sweetheart. Let me check something." He put me on hold for a minute, then came back, sounding excited. "Tell those people to get out of my hotel." "Your hotel? What are you talking about?" "Believe it or not, I own it." "What? How is that possible?" "It's a funny story. I was gambling, don't worry, just that one time. Anyway, I was playing with a friend who'd had a bit too much to drink. He ended up betting his hotel. We told him not to, but he didn't listen. Turns out, my friend in Spain owned the Gold Star." I was stunned. This twist of fate seemed unreal, almost like it was meant to happen. "See, Helen, you're always a winner," he said, and I could almost hear him smiling over the phone. I was speechless. This is ridiculous. I had no idea this was even possible. People think we're snobs, that's just how it is. Now go and kick those fools out of my hotel. "Thanks, Dad." "Anytime, sweetheart. Enjoy the luxury you deserve in Spain, and take a picture when you tell them the truth." I couldn't thank my dad enough for this support and unexpected twist. It felt like a light in the dark. After hanging up, I felt stronger and more determined, ready to make the most of my time in Spain. I marched back to the hotel room where Elizabeth, Matthew, and Jerry were staying. Fueled by anger, I knocked on the door. Matthew opened it, surprised, but I didn't let him speak. "I'm coming in, whether you like it or not," I said, pushing my way in. Elizabeth started yelling, reminding me they had already kicked me out. "She thinks she owns the place," she scoffed. "Actually, I kind of do. Are you so spoiled that you think every luxury is yours?" I looked at them confidently. "If you don't leave, expect consequences." Jerry muttered, "I'll call security." "No need. They're already here," I said as the guards came in and started packing up their things, placing everything in the hallway. Confused, Jerry asked, "What is going on?" I decided to drop the news. "My dad owns this hotel, so you're leaving this fancy suite. I don't appreciate how you tried to trap me." "What? That's impossible," Jerry stammered. "In my world, it's not that strange. Now, face the consequences." As the guards packed up their belongings, Matthew and Elizabeth tried to talk to me, but I was firm. "Enjoy Spain, or don't." I don't care. And Matthew, I'll be sending divorce papers soon. I don't want to be tied to any of you after this. Elizabeth started crying, and Jerry, unable to hold back, sneered, calling me spoiled. My anger flared, and before I knew it, I spat in his face. You know what, Jerry? Go to hell, all of you. Elizabeth, Matthew, and Jerry were kicked out of the hotel, looking humiliated as security escorted them away. After hours stranded by the side of the road, they frantically searched for another hotel. They tried to call me, but I had blocked their numbers, so they resorted to sending me desperate emails, asking for help. Though I read their apologies, I had no intention of getting involved. I told my dad about what I was seeing from my window. Dad, you won't believe this. I can see Elizabeth, Matthew, and Jerry out there, looking lost and trying to find a hotel. It seems like they've been at it for hours. He sounded surprised. Really? It's taken them this long? I asked, concerned. What did you do, Dad? With a calm voice, he admitted. I made a few calls, used some connections, and got them added to a blacklist. They won't be able to book a room at any decent hotel. I was shocked. Dad, that seems a bit much, doesn't it? They've already faced consequences. He defended his actions. It's extreme, but they messed with you. They tried to hurt you, so they needed to learn their lesson. I made sure they'd remember it. I hesitated. I appreciate how protective you are, but I don't want them to suffer too much. Don't worry, they'll get the message loud and clear. Sometimes people need a taste of their own medicine to understand what they've done. Trust me, it's for their own good. I couldn't help but feel a bit satisfied watching them struggle, though I hoped they'd take it as a chance to reflect on their actions. For now, I was just enjoying the peace. Thanks, Dad. You're always the best. Remember, sweetheart, you're strong, resilient, and worthy of happiness. Don't let anyone bring you down. Fate worked things out. Elizabeth, Matthew, and Jerry ended up back at the same rundown motel they had booked for me. The irony wasn't lost on me. After all their planning, they were now experiencing the discomfort they had intended for me. It was a bittersweet feeling, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. I found myself alone in the large hotel suite we were supposed to share, and it felt strange. On one hand, there was a freedom I had never felt before, as if I could do anything I wanted, but at the same time, the luxury of the suite couldn't shake the loneliness I felt. Sitting there, I couldn't help but think about how I ended up in this place, alone but free. As the days passed in the beautiful hotel, the loneliness stayed, but it became clear to me that being alone was better than being with fake people. I realized I deserved better than that. A few days later, I sent the divorce papers to Matthew. He tried to reach out, asking for another chance, but by then, I was no longer moved by his words. I knew my worth and wasn't willing to go back to his empty promises. I was determined to enjoy Spain on my own terms. When I returned home, having spent my own money in Spain, I made sure to remove all reminders of Matthew from my life. I didn't care if he and his family retreated from the mess they caused. I understood that life was more than seeking approval from people who didn't belong in my world. Embracing my newfound freedom, I focused on building a life that was true to me. I pursued my passions, let go of toxic relationships, and learned to value myself. Each day, I grew stronger and more confident. Slowly, the wounds of the past healed, and I began to love myself. I learned that true happiness comes from within, not from seeking approval from others. Spain taught me valuable lessons that I carried with me, and I faced the future with a smile, free from the toxicity of the past. The journey to self-love and authenticity had begun, and I was ready for the next chapter.